The Sky This Month with your host, Dave McDonald.
Welcome to The Sky This Month. I'm your host, Dave McDonald, and this is the month of May 2025, and we're looking to have a great month of things to look at in the night sky and even in the morning sky. Now, behind me is a close-up of an image that I'm going to show you where to find it later. It's called M44, or the Beehive Cluster, and it's really magnificent through a telescope, but you can barely make it out with the unaided eye, and I'm going to show you where you can find it in just a little bit. So one of the great things that we have in the night sky is always something related to the zodiac. And so right here, if we can bring up the image, you see the sun, and you can see that the sun is located in the constellation of Taurus. And it just passes through there around May 15th. Now, you may know or think that it's from like April 21st to May 20th is the specific time of Taurus. But the lucky thing is that if you are have a birthday around, let's say, May 12th to May 20th, you're in luck. You're really a Taurus, because that's where the sun is going to be located. But just so you know, only 5% or even 4% or 5% of people alive today have the astrological sign that you think you have. And about, let's say, 20% of people are off by 2 constellations, and somewhere around 70%, 75% of people are off by 1 constellation. So it's rare, actually, to find somebody that has the actual astrological sign that you think that you have. And it depends on the year you were born and where the sun was that you were born. But lucky, again, people who are born in May 12th to 20th, you are going to actually be a Taurus. But before that, before May 20th, the sun was in the constellation of Aries, the Ram. So if we take another look at those constellations, you see here my red laser dot, you can see Aries is over here, and that's where the sun was located. This line that's represented here is what we call the ecliptic. It's the pathway of the sun, and it's defined by where the sun travels through the sky. And now you can see this is again May 15th. It is in Taurus, and it's going to continue to be in Taurus throughout the rest of the month. So even though when we pass the May 20th point of time, people that are born are still going to be a Taurus. So Aries, Taurus, over here we have Gemini, and maybe you think, in June you're a Gemini or something. So we're going to unveil these mysteries for you. I'm going to do a special presentation at the McAuliffe Shepherd Discovery Center in Concord, New Hampshire. This is going to be on Friday night, June 6th. The program starts at 7, but the doors open at 6:30, and you can get all the information at StarHop, StarHop.com, about the Superstellar Friday series. So I'm going to be doing this, unveiling the mysteries of the zodiac, find out what your astrological sign really is, because it probably isn't what you think it is. Again, about only 4% of people have it. And then, do you realize that there's a 13th member of the zodiac? And so we kind of grew up thinking, well, we've got 12, right? We have the 12 constellations, but no, there's 13. And thousands of years ago, the people that put the charts together forgot about this one. And so there are people who are walking around today that have this special birth sign, and they don't even know it. So we're going to find out more about that at the Discovery Center on June 6th. The Friday night program starts at 7 o'clock. And I'll try to remind you again at the end of the show. All righty? So let's take a look at this next image. And we're going to stay with May 15th because it's the middle of the month. So whether you're tuning in at the beginning of the month, the middle, or the end of the sky is pretty accurate this way right here. So kind of interesting. I think you can make out the lines. So we're facing south, but it's kind of a condensed image. So we're facing south, but you can see overhead is where we have the Big Dipper. And the nice thing about the Big Dipper this time of year and this time, and the time is about 10 o'clock. So we're about May 15th, 10 o'clock in the evening. We let the sky get dark because the sun is setting later and later. And the nice thing is when we get to like the 3rd, 4th week of June, the sun's going to be setting in New England around 8:30, which I personally kind of like. So that's an interesting factoid. So we're going to 10 o'clock to get the sky, an hour and a half or so after sunset, so it gets dark. And so you see the Big Dipper, and as we've pointed out before, the Big Dipper is not a constellation. The Big Dipper is what we call an asterism. An asterism is a familiar shape made up of stars that may be from the same or might be from different constellations. In this case, they're all from the constellation Ursa Major. So you see here, these are the back legs, and here we have the head up this way, I'm circling, and the front legs come out this way. So this whole collection of stars is Ursa Major, the Big Bear, and the Big Dipper is just part of it. Now, off the screen, and we're not going to focus on the North Star by any means, but if you took these two end stars, Merak and Dubhe, and you made a straight line, it's going to go off your screen up to the top. But if you make a fairly straight line, that's going to take you to the North Star, Polaris, the North Star. But as I said, that's not the focus of our program today. Many other things. So let's just talk about the Big Dipper for a moment. And maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but you can mesmerize your friends and help them to start observing, because so many times we go out and we look up at the sky and say, oh, isn't it beautiful? And hopefully it is, particularly if you're away from the city lights and away from light pollution and such. You can get out into the country, maybe go up to the Kangamangas Highway is an awesome place to go. And there are other dark sites around. But one thing that people just need to do better of is to observe. Observe the color of the stars, and observe that some stars are actually two stars. And that is the case in the Big Dipper. So if you look here at the middle star of the Big Dipper, and if you look carefully, you'll see it's actually two stars. The brighter one that we all see is called Mizar, or Mizar, M-I-Z-A-R. And the fainter one, that if you look carefully on a dark night, you should be able to see it, is called Alcor, A-L-C-O-R. So a double star, binoculars make it really, really easy. And if you happen to have a telescope, 4.5-inch, 6-inch telescope, and you take a look, you're going to see that, oh my goodness, this bright star, Mizar itself, is a double star. So when you're looking through the telescope, you're going to see 3 stars there. Now, Mizar and Alcor are actually optical doubles. It's because they're lined up in terms of a line of sight. They're called visual doubles or optical doubles. So they look like they're next to each other, but they're not gravitationally related. They just are line of sight lined up. But if you have a telescope and you look at Mizar and you see that companion star really close to it, that's a true double star where those stars are gravitationally related to each other. So that's kind of cool. So let's go back and look at some more interesting features of this part of the skies. We're looking overhead at the Big Dipper that we see here. Excuse me. Now, we're going to take the Big Dipper's handle, and you see how it makes an arc, and we're going to arc this candle, follow the arc, and we're going to follow it down to this star named Arcturus. So it's like we're going to arc to Arcturus. So that makes that easy to find. And we're kind of on a little journey called star hopping, and that's the McCall Shepherd Discovery Center's website, StarHop, STARHOP.com, and we're star hopping right now. So look at Arcturus, and Arcturus is at the bottom of what I like to consider to be the ice cream cone. Can you see the ice cream cone? I'll use my red laser dot, and for Arcturus being at the bottom tip, we can build it up this way for a side, build it up this way, and then we have the clump of ice cream on the top. Now, sometimes I like to talk about, particularly if you like ice cream sundaes, we can talk about it this way. Arcturus, again, is at the bottom of the dish, but we kind of have the semblance of a dish down here for a sundae dish, and we build up the dish here. We have ice cream and a cherry on top, and voila, it's the ice cream. Now, technically, it is the constellation of Boötes, B-O-O-T-E-S, and I'm going to show you in a moment what that image looks like. But right now, we're just looking at some images. I have the lines up to hopefully help you find things in the night sky. So we have Arcturus, we build our ice cream cone. Now, a couple other things. We go over to the left from the ice cream cone, from the level of the top of the sundae dish or the cone, and we come over to the left. Do you see this U shape? That U shape kind of looks like a tiara, right? Or a crown. And as a matter of fact, that is the northern crown, or the corona borealis. Corona meaning crown, borealis, northern. It's the northern crown. So that's really kind of neat to see that. And we're going to talk about something very special about that in just a little bit. And then if we keep going towards the left, which would be towards the east, we come off of taking the arc to Arcturus, we build the ice cream cone off to the left of the top of the cone or the dish. We have this U shape, which is like a tiara or a crown, corona borealis. And then if we keep on going off to the left, we come to this shape here. It looks like a keystone. The people in Pennsylvania that are watching the show will really like that. But this keystone and the rest of it down here, that's Hercules. Hercules, the strong man. And there's an object, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, that you can find using binoculars or a small telescope here in Hercules. So that's kind of interesting features from the Big Dipper, arc to Arcturus, build your ice cream cone. Off to the left, we have the northern crown, and to the left of it, we have Hercules with the keystone, the keystone there. Now, let's move off to the right. And one of the things that will be easy to see, and again, we're May 15th, 10 o'clock at night, looking south, but looking high up, right, you'll see we have the planet Mars over here. And Mars is bright. It's not as bright as Arcturus is, but it's pretty bright. And Mars is glowing reddish because it's sometimes known as the red planet. And Mars is in the constellation of Cancer, the crab, which I'll show you in a moment. And in Cancer, there's a special object that we're going to talk about in a little bit. And then if we look to the left of Mars, you see this backwards question mark here? Well, this is Leo the lion. This is the head of the lion. This bright star is Regulus. Regulus represents the heart of the lion. The lion is lying down, the hind haunches, and this star at the end of this triangle represents the tail of the lion, and its name is Denobla. So that's kind of a lot of things to think about with these stars to be able to find them. And if we bring up the artwork, now we can kind of see what these objects represent. And then we're going to take the artwork down and see if you can find them yourself. So here's the lion we were just talking about, the Nemean lion. Here's Cancer the crab off to the right of your screen. And you see that Mars is there. Up towards the top is the Big Dipper, which is part of the Big Bear. Follow the tail arc to Arcturus, and this is Boötes, who is the herdsman. So he's not really an ice cream cone. I think it's easy to visualize with just the stars an ice cream cone, but he is the herdsman, Boötes. And then off to the left is the crown, Corona Borealis, and then kind of a weird shape. His head is down towards the bottom here, but this is Hercules, the strong man. Okay? Now, can you find these things? Let's start with the Big Dipper overhead. We have the handle of the Big Dipper. We have the middle star, remember it's 2 stars, Mizar and Alcor. We arc to Arcturus, a very bright star, magnitude 0 star. We build our ice cream cone, put a cherry on the top. And then off to the left, we have the Corona Borealis, that U-shape object is there. And then further off to the left is the keystone of Hercules. And then to the right of your screen, as we're facing south towards the west, Mars, you can't miss it because it is bright, not as bright as Arcturus, but bright and reddish in color. And notice to the upper left, this is what I want to talk to you about next, to the upper left, it says beehive, or the beehive cluster, and that is known as M44. There's a guy named Charles Messier, and he made a collection of 110 objects. Technically, 109 objects, he had 1 duplication. But number 44 on his list, the M stands for Messier, or Messier, as the beehive cluster, which was originally called, and still is today, the Precipe, or the manger. And then when we had telescopes, and we were able to look at it, I think it was William Herschel, actually, in the 1600s, early 1600s, that said, that looks like a bunch of busy bees. And so it has that nickname, the beehive cluster, has stuck from that point. So this is a close-up of the beehive cluster, which is also another version of this image, but the same image is what's behind me from time to time. But it's just a magnificent cluster of stars to look at. And so if we just zoom in on those for a moment. A telescope will help you see some of the color. You can see there's some color variation. A lot of them are blue because they are in fact blue hot stars. And this is the beehive cluster, and it is a couple thousand light years away. Hundreds of stars make it up. You can see some goldish type stars, some bluish type stars. It's about 610 light years away. I think I might have said 2,000. I think I was thinking about the number of stars. But it's about 610 light years away. And a light year is how far light travels in a year. So let's come back to Arcturus. We arc to Arcturus. We build up our ice cream cone here. Off to the left is Corona Borealis. And if we swing up, we follow that tiara and we swing up to Hercules, you see that keystone we've talked about. Well, right in the middle of the longer side. So the keystone has two sides. One side is slightly longer, and it's the side that is towards the Big Dipper, or the side that is towards Arcturus, and just a little higher than middle, you might see a fuzzy spot with your unaided eye, but binoculars are going to bring it out for you, and you're going to be able to see a really, really neat sight there. And what that is the M13 cluster, and that's this right here. This is known as the Hercules cluster, or M13. It's a globular cluster, and it's really big. It's 145 light years in diameter, and it consists of several 100,000 stars. They're thinking in the realm of 300,000 to 500,000 stars in this cluster, and it's an older cluster of stars, and it's just magnificent to look at through a telescope as you look at this globular cluster. Very classic in nature. Well, here's another different view of Boötes. It's slightly, we've kind of turned the image a little bit, rotated it counterclockwise. But you see Arcturus, constellation of Boötes. This is the ice cream cone. And then we come over here to Corona Borealis, and there's a special star here that you actually can't see. So why are we talking about something you can't see? Well, for months, actually, a year, maybe a little more, we've been waiting for a star to explode, and that's T Corona Borealis, or T, sometimes C, small r, B, capital B. This is a star that we're waiting to explode. And in some ways, we were thinking it should have happened by now, but the more time that goes on, the closer we're going to get to the time when it is actually going to explode. So what we've put together is for you is a little video clip. This is done by NASA. It's about 2 minutes long, and it's going to explain a little bit more about this star, where to find it, and how we know about it. So NASA has provided this. It's about a 2-minute video clip, so enjoy it.
Astronomers have been waiting expectantly for light from a distant explosion to reach us here on Earth. An event called a nova is anticipated to occur sometime in the coming months. Some 3,000 light-years away is a binary star system called T Coronae Borealis, or TCRB. It consists of a red giant star with a smaller white dwarf star orbiting closely around it. Now, the giant's outer atmosphere is all puffed up, and the dwarf star is close enough that its gravity continually captures some of the giant's hydrogen. About every 80 years, the white dwarf has accumulated so much of the other star's hydrogen that it ignites a thermonuclear explosion, and that's the nova. T Coronae Borealis is located in the constellation Corona Borealis, or the Northern Crown, and it's normally far too faint to see with the unaided eye. But it's predicted the nova will be as bright as the constellation's brightest star, which is about as bright as the North Star Polaris. You'll find Corona Borealis right in between the two bright stars Arcturus and Vega. You can use the Big Dipper's handle to point you to the right part of the sky. Try having a look for it on clear, dark nights before the nova, so you'll have a comparison when a new star suddenly becomes visible there. Now, you may have heard about this months ago, as astronomers started keeping watch for the nova midway through 2024, but it hasn't happened yet. Predicting exactly when novas or any sort of stellar outburst will happen is tricky. But excitement began growing when astronomers observed the star to dim suddenly, much as it did right before its previous nova in 1946. When the nova finally does occur, it won't stay bright for long, likely flaring in peak brightness for only a few days. And since it's not predicted again for another 80 years, you might just want to join the watch for this super rare, naked-eye stellar explosion in the sky.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that little video clip. So keep an eye. So an important thing is to be able to find Corona Borealis, because when this happens, it's going to be on the news. Star explodes, and you understand the reason the star explodes. It was accreting material from its sibling, got too much material, and kapoom. About every year this happens. So we're a little beyond the 80-year mark, but hopefully it'll be happening real soon for us to enjoy it. And then your grandchildren will get to see it. So that'll be kind of neat. Now, the next thing I want to share with you is relative to the morning sky. The morning sky, we're looking east. This is May 23rd at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you have to be up before the sun's up to be able to see this. We're looking east about an hour before sunrise. And notice it's all labeled there for you. We have the planet Saturn, we have the moon, a nice crescent moon, and the planet Venus. Venus is shining very bright, and it's every morning it's getting further and further away from the horizon, so it's getting higher, and Saturn is as well. Saturn is nowhere near as bright as Venus, but plenty bright enough to be able to see it. And so this May 23rd is a great morning to be able to see these guys together. Now, days subsequent, May 24, 25, Saturn and Venus are still going to be there, but the moon is always on the move, so to speak. And in this case, we have this crescent moon is making its way towards the sun to become eventually, in the next few days, a new moon, when it will be closely lined up with the sun. Not exactly, or we'd have ourselves an eclipse, but this is an opportunity to see the moon. And the day after, on May 24th, I don't have the image here, but the moon will be a little bit below Venus down in this area here. So this is another view of what we're looking at. And I thought this might be interesting because if you are up in the morning, you can enjoy looking at Saturn, the crescent moon, and Venus, but realize that there are also some constellations out too. You've got the big square of Pegasus here, and if you look to the upper left of your screen, another fuzzy spot that you can just barely make out, the Andromeda Galaxy. We'll be talking more about that along the way in months to come, but just so you know, the Andromeda Galaxy is handy through binoculars, a small telescope, and if you kind of go diagonal across the great square of Pegasus, it takes you into the vicinity of it. Not exactly, but it takes you into the vicinity of that Andromeda Galaxy, and it's about close to the same distance as the diagonal across the great square, and you can enjoy looking at that object. And that object is the furthest object you can see with the unaided eye, 2.5 million light years away. So lots to see in the night sky, lots to see in the morning sky. We took a little bit of time to point out planet Saturn and Venus, and the moon is going to be in the middle of them for May 23rd, but the moon is always on the move, and it will be to the lower left of Venus on the 24th, and then it's going to be, so to speak, out of this picture. So hope that you enjoyed that. And just to recap, we have a great program coming up at the McCall Shepherd Discovery Center on June 6th, Friday night. And we're going to talk about the constellations of the zodiac. We're going to unveil the mysteries of the zodiac. And I hope that you'll be able to join us there. And I'm Dave McDonald for The Sky This Month, and I hope that you enjoyed the show. Keep looking up.